guys, so I'm going to talk to you about my peak week, and I'll just explain basically what I have been doing for peaking properly for the show and what you should be doing depending on your weight, your height, everything, how to make your weight class and all that. So starting off, the biggest fluctuation is carbs. So so on my normal day, 1 month out, I would be having 100 grams of carbs, depending on how lean I am, but usually around 100. And so on my show day, and when I'm at peak week, it gets really low, like 40 grams. But when I do my show day, I do 200. But I actually do this method called the linear progressive load or something. And what it is basically I was doing low carb like Thursday, 7 days before the show, Friday 6, Saturday 5, and Sunday 4. I was doing carb depleted, only 40 grams if you saw that in my full day of eating video. But and then starting on Monday I had 100. Starting on Tuesday I had 125. Starting on Wednesday I had 150. Starting on Thursday I had 200. So, and Friday when I'm competing instead of Saturday, and last time it was Saturday, but since it's Friday we have to adjust the schedule. So I'm going to be doing on Friday I'm going to do 150 carb because you're not competing till 12 at night. Usually I'm going to be competing at 9 in the morning at my first one, and then something at sometime in the afternoon for my second one. So I'm obviously not going to carb up as if I was getting ready for Saturday, because then I would probably spill over. But yeah, I would recommend each for a grown-up. I increase 25 each day, but if you're in your 20s, well, if you're a kid, I'd say increase 25 each day if you're trying to do a bodybuilding show. And if you're a grown-up, I would recommend about 50 grams each day, starting on Tuesday if you're competing on Saturday, and starting on Monday if you're competing on Friday. And with sodium and water, I don't do much with it. I make sure my sodium is high most of the days, and my water intake, I do a little something. I actually water load 3 days before the show. I probably do about 4 liters, and then the day of the show I'll probably do 3 liters, still quite a lot, because I don't want to not be full, because if you're going to have all these carbs, you don't have any water, how do you expect the carbs to get to the muscle? Because you need water. It's what transfers the carbs into the blood, into the muscle, but you don't want the carbs in your stomach. And for fiber, I decrease my fiber a lot. That's why on my show day, I'm not going to be having the fiber and protein kind for oatmeal. The morning, I'm going to be having the lower in fiber version, just maple and brown sugar without fiber and protein added to it. But on a normal day before the show, I would have more fiber. You want to get 20 to 30% of your fiber, of your carbs from fiber. And for these things like traveling, you're actually sometimes people lose weight while they're traveling, because you're moving around a lot and stuff. But for counting macro, because on Thursday I'm gonna be traveling, I'm gonna have 200 carb. My breakfast is gonna be at my house, but all the other meals except for those 2 snacks that have a nutrition label are gonna be in the airport. So how I would recommend tracking is just say you went to Chipotle. They usually have things like that. Burrito bowls around the airport. You got rice and chicken. Always assume it's around 1 serving of carbs and 1.5 servings of your meat source, because that's about what they give you. But if you're traveling, I recommend, like in a plane, I recommend, because the food's heavily salted, especially like Chipotle and all those burrito bowls and tacos, they salt their food heavily. So make sure you're drinking a lot of water while you're flying in the airplane. And for my show day, the reason I'm not having 200 carb is because, again, you don't want to feel too full before you go on stage, because maximum I'll probably compete in my second part of my show at 3 o'clock anyways. It's not like I'm doing a really late show. I'm competing at like 7 o'clock at night. If you're doing that, maybe you would have time to do 200 grams of carbs. And for my carb sources, I like to do not really dry carbs, but oatmeal, lots of rice cakes. Actually, a protein bar has lots of carbs. I do like to do those. Rice on the trip, because at Chipotle and Boomers and all that stuff, they do have rice. So rice, oatmeal, rice cakes, maybe fruit if you really want to do that. I'm not having fruit right now. I don't want too much sugar before I go on stage. And the rice cakes I'm having are chocolate rice cakes. And with the chocolate rice cakes, they do have sugar in them, like some, but I would rather have that than fruits, because you don't want to be super full, like fiber, and rice cakes don't really have much fiber in them. So yeah, that's all for peak week. This was a lot talking about carbs, because I really don't change much except for carbs. And yes, for protein and fats. My protein, I moved down. I'm at 173 grams normally. On my show day, I'm going to do 140, so a little less, because protein, again, fills you up. You don't want to be you want to be full, but not full in your stomach. And fat, I'm going to have fat a little bit down so I can digest the carbs in a fast enough time, because you really don't want to miss. You have to have it at the exact hour that you're competing on. So I'm going to have less fats, probably like 55 instead of like 62 or 65. And that kind of wraps up my peak week. And yeah, that's all.